The Evening Show starts now.
This one is dedicated to all of me queen. I heard you had a rough day yesterday. I heard about the hurtful things they said to you. It made you feel some kind of way.
Hey guys, welcome to the Evening Show, and can you hear my voice? I'm excited as always. It's part 2 of our 2-part series, marriage information, marriage everything, marriage series. Yes, that's what it is. It's excitement that's doing this to me. Always with me, my co-host, the beautiful Melina De Silva, the lady Rachel Cowie Clark. Ladies, part 2 of marriage series. We're here.
Yeah, already excited.
Yes. And
married people think.
Married people think.
Big man thing.
Oh my gosh, Melina. We're not going to waste much time.
Parent too.
So much. We want to get as much as we can.
As much as possible, yeah.
Yeah. So, the day that we're talking about, if you've been following us, you would know that on our 2-part series, on the conclusion of our 2-part series, we're going to be having with us Counselor Petreece Cuffie and her husband, Huey Cuffie. They're both very heavily involved in everything marriage. They love talking about marriage and helping folks and truly being the best example that they can be to those that are looking on and considering marriage. Yeah. So I'm going to go to a short break, and ladies, we're going to get straight into that.
Yes.
Part 2 of our marriage series right here on the Evening Show. Don't go anywhere.
Clean space is the highest priority during this time. We provide state-of-the-art professional disinfecting services. We offer a choice of services to fit your needs. Disinfecting services, sanitizing services, deep cleaning, electrostatic disinfection services, and much more. Save your time, save your money, save yourself. Visit our website or call us for your next cleaning service today.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Evening Show, and it's another packed one today as we provide informative and enjoyable content to you, our viewers, our family. Now, as mentioned earlier, today's episode completes our 2-part marriage series, all right? And listen, it has been good thus far, and I'm looking forward to so much from this next couple. Joining us today, as promised, Mr. Huey Cuffie. Now, he is the partner responsible for the consulting and organizational services at Petreece Cuffie and Associates. Now, he holds a Bachelor of Science degree in chemical engineering from the University of the West Indies and a Master of Science degree in leadership from Walden University. Now, as a leadership consultant, he has facilitated leadership and strategic planning workshops for various public and private sector organizations locally and regionally. Now, Huey is the co-host of Men Talk, which is a popular weekly radio program. It's a call-in program. It's on Isaac 98.1 FM, dedicated to issues affecting men. Guys, yeah, there's stuff out there for you, all right? So be sure to check it out. Now, he is the co-author to the book, What Parents Taught Me About Sex, Marriage, and Choosing a Husband. He's also the author of A Mind for Christ, which focuses on local and international issues from rather a biblical perspective. Now, the lady next to him, no stranger to the program at all. You've seen her before. At his side today, and for better or worse, is his wife, beautiful Petreece Cuffie.
Hi.
Just in case you missed it, go back, check the episode with Petreece. She was laying it on us, all right? She definitely laid it on us. And just to give you some more insight, Petreece is a professional counselor who has over 26 years, said, right, Petreece? Yeah. She's like, yeah, don't let everybody know how long I've been having 26 years experience in her field, which is counseling and training. Now, Petreece is very passionate about couples experiencing and enjoying healthy marriages, and she co-facilitates premarital, marriage, relationship building, and parenting workshops with her husband and business partner, Huey Cuffie. Now, Petreece is an author as well. She's the host of a radio program. They address marriage, and she lays it in there as well. And they are both proud parents of one beautiful daughter who resembles them both. It's a beautiful blend. So, Petreece and Huey, welcome to the evening show.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yes.
We're really happy to be here.
Yeah, and we're happy. Now, we have such a limited time. I wish we could, just stay online and go a week with you, week up, and let's go again talking about marriage. But but we have to just keep it. So I want to get into it one time. Today we're going to be addressing healthy and versus unhealthy marriages. But Petreece and Huey, we want to get to know you a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
How long have you been married? One. And give us a bit of backstory, how you guys met. What was that like?
Right.
Let's see if you know how long we married.
That's like 1900s, yes. So November this year, we are 24 years that we are married. And thank God for, what he's doing in our lives. I met Petreece. We met on campus, UWI, University of the West Indies. Both of us were part of a group called InterVarsity Christian Fellowship. And that group basically, I was there a year ahead of Petreece. And I was leading a group called Interschool ISIV. So that was a group that from campus would actually go out to the various schools, secondary schools, and Petreece was actually part of that group. Interestingly enough, during the August vacation, when I was preparing for the new year that Petreece would come in, I was asking the then staff worker if she knew anyone who could actually be a resource to be part of the group. And she said, I have this girl. She really loves the Lord. And she's really passionate about the Lord. I was listening there and I was like, more fiesta. Could this be though? We met on campus and I was really excited and, really blessed with Petreece's passion for the Lord and her love for other people. Very humble, down to earth. And as they say, the rest is history. So from there, I was just, blown over head over heels with Petreece. And even that experience in terms of, getting together, that is a story in itself. I would just say that, at one point in time, I was just praying, when I was in my transition period of the break it to her, I was just praying to the Lord and saying, Lord, not my will be done, but let your will be done. And that's like the Lord was saying to me, just get real and talk what you want now. And that's why I like this girl. And just please give me the chance, the opportunity to put my best foot forward. And it's almost like I heard the Lord say the scripture in Romans 4, it says, and against hope, Abraham believed in hope. So I felt it's almost like a played all beat. But the reality of it was tough because getting to know Petreece and whatnot. And like I tell Petreece, I could take her in various parts of campus and showcase it. By that tree there, I cried. When I was left by you. By that seat there, I felt like, Lord, I can't take this. What's good for me? So we've been married ever since, really loving God together. We're best friends. And one of the things I tell people, the joke between us is that I asked the Lord for Petreece, right? So I can't say like Adam, the woman that you gave me. I asked, and I'm thankful to God.
Yeah, good.
For wife.
So Petreece, I love that Huey started first. Is that story accurate from your perspective?
I was wondering the same thing.
It's perspective, right? From my perspective, he was a wonderful guy, but so I think I had a lot of issues. So I treated him really badly when he was trying. Horribly, horrible. It was horrible. I mean, his friends had him on suicide watch at evening. It was so bad.
I know you're going to be passing through St. Augustine earlier this week, and I said,
Monday.
Yeah, that's the curb that, I was sat down and my friends saw me and they took me home. Yeah. I have spots.
A serious tabanka.
Yeah.
A shock.
The bank truck. Yeah.
And actually, God told me that you will be my husband, I know, but I didn't want that.
Oh, Lord.
I didn't want it. And I told nobody because I didn't want anybody to make it happen. So I said nothing to anybody. He actually mustered up the strength one day before IVCF meeting to tell me that he liked me. And I told him, okay, good. Well, we are brothers and sisters in the Lord. So that's good. No problem. And I went on with life.
Petreece is a good you're gangster, yeah.
There is one thing you should know about men, is that short of telling a man, I hate your guts, I will kill you next time I see you. If you tell a man, well, we could be friends or we could just be brothers and sisters in the Lord, the man says, there is hope.
Yes. The door is not closed.
So, I mean, I had my time out with God. Actually, I remember one day he told me, he said, listen, you see all these feelings? I can't take it. So I don't know if it's he said it or I said it, but we both eventually said it. He said he will pray and ask God to take these feelings away from him.
Oh, my Lord.
I will pray and ask God to take those feelings away from you.
Wow. Had I known you then, I would have been praying and fasting. Fasting for you.
Yeah, this is where I cried. I told you this.
Lord, don't make the feelings go. Lord, don't make the feelings go.
No, but I prayed and I asked God to take away those feelings. And when I started to pray, I actually started to like him. So I stopped praying.
God do a reverse psychology on you.
and then to make the long story short, one day he just kind of decided to back off, and in backing off took somebody out, and I was like, what?
So
strategy.
Let's get some clarity. The said person that I took out was like a spiritual mother. So it was to both of us. It was like took her to our choir.
Oh, okay.
The choir concert at my church community. So it was.
I heard a different thing, but I think that's the story I end up hearing, right? But I thought it was something else, right? But eventually I heard. Yeah. So in my perspective, so that night I kind of just went to God and I said, look, I don't know if I could do this. And God said to me, he said, but you have a choice. He said, this is what I want for you, but you have to know you always have a choice. And that's the thing I really appreciate about God. God gives us choice. But of course, I'm saying, well, if that's your choice, I stupid. Something else. So I went, and I still remember going outside on that step. He was on the step where I stayed off campus. He was on the step. And I went out on that step and I said, okay, Huey, I will be in a relationship with you. OMG. And I saw him the next day on campus, and he was coming towards me on campus, all smiles, looking really happy.
GT.
And I was
Victory.
I was walking towards him saying, "Oh my God, what have I done?"
Gosh.
But I mean, I really, so my story is I'm growing to love you.
Mhm.
So I really grew. I mean, he's such a wonderful person. You know, I really grew to love him. I became attracted to him, everything. So that by the time we got married, I was just really happy, you know? And one thing I always say to people, God gives us what we need, but then we end up realizing it is what we want. Because when I think about it, Huey is the kind of man I want, you know? But of course, me with all my messed up self would not have been able, I wouldn't have, I wouldn't choose back. Definitely. You know, and so, I mean, he really is, wow, I am happy that, I'm happy that God saw that I was stupid and messed up and said, look, let me help her, yes, let me help her. You know, so I'm really happy. And I was happy that I was able to, even when God said, I gave you a choice, to at least be, I don't know what to say, something enough to realize God wouldn't give us something bad, you know? And yeah, so and the rest is this year, November, God spent like 24 years together.
Oh, wow.
You know, of a beautiful, I thank God, a really, really, really good marriage. But in spite of the fact that God would have done that, we also did our due diligence, which was to get really good premarital counseling.
Right.
So we and I got counseling while I was a counselor. So I didn't think, well, because I'm a counselor, I don't need counseling, because at the end of the day, I was never married before.
Right.
Right. So I don't play like I know thing I know. Right.
Yeah.
So for both of us, understanding the need to be prepared for what we're going into and submitted ourselves to 2 years of premarital counseling, which I think really served us well. So in our marriage itself, we really never had any major problems. The issues we would have had would have been no money, and we just put that together. You eat a doubles, we eat a doubles, we eat lentil peas and rice for 2 weeks till you want to eat again, you know. But yeah, but you get through it together, you know.
Well, wow. What a story.
Yeah, I was not expecting that.
I was not expecting it.
Petreece, you get trouble.
His best friend on campus, actually one day told me, you know, he's a human being.
For sure.
That's yeah, and I called him and asked him to meet on campus. And I said to him, it's not you. I have defense mechanisms.
When it was an Android I was speaking to. But, yeah.
First you got the you're just a brother, and then you got the, it's not you, it's me.
Yeah. Well, progress. Yeah. But I mean, having said that, I mean, it wasn't that Petreece. I mean, it was difficult, but I mean, Petreece always treated me with dignity and respect. And so it wasn't that, you know, she was a horror. I mean, Petreece uses these words, you know, so you have to always, you know, take it up pinch of salt. It's just that at the end of the day, yeah, that's she would say. But I thank God for her, and I know for me, it was that was the process that God would take me through. So as I said earlier, I can't turn to God and say, the woman you gave me. Yeah. I pursued her, right? And I take responsibility in terms of my commitment to her and my love for her. So in that way, God was really pile driving, you know, my affection and my love and my commitment for Petreece, that, you know, even now in our relationship is so critical, because I think that's one of the things that many times we take for granted. You know, we have this thing about, you know, should a woman pursue a man or should a man pursue a woman? But I think it's important to appreciate, for men especially, that, you know, men need to develop those muscles of commitment And so you want to be mindful of not short-circuiting that process. Because women tend to be much more monogamous. They tend to be, more committed in the relationship. But, men, need to have that sense. So I know for us in our relationship, that was critical for me. It was also important in terms of developing my sense of wholeness in God. All right? Because many times we make this mistake of that, you're marrying a better half. At the end of the day, it's two whole people. It's not addition, not half plus half equal one. It's really multiplication. It's 1 by 1 equals 1. It is that sense of God working on both of us individually, that we depend on Him. Our identities in Christ, our love is for Him. We recognize the issues that we have coming into a relationship, and that we are committed. We may not necessarily solve all the problems at the time you get married, but you have an awareness and a commitment to deal with the issues as you move on together.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. I'm pretty sure somebody out there is saying, "Ooh, I can identify with you." And then there's the other end of someone who may be going through it now and being, they're like, "Oh, well, if Huey was patient."
Yeah, I could wait. I could still wait. There's hope. There's hope.
The grace of God.
Yeah. All right. So let's get into it. Unhealthy. Now, Petreece, I heard you talk on one of your podcasts. I know you have your podcast happening, and you spoke on healthy marriages versus unhealthy, and you were saying that there are some similarities with healthy marriages, but unhealthy marriages, there's no one reason for it being that way. Can you expound on that a bit for us?
All right. So the reality is that all healthy marriages are operating with the same principles, right? Or they have the same characteristics. But of course, unhealthy marriages are unhealthy for many different reasons. So when there's a reason that there's a lack of empathy, or there's a reason, the reason maybe trust issues, or the reason maybe, what again? We can't agree on finances, whatever it is. But for every unhealthy marriage, it will be unhealthy for a different reason or reasons. But all healthy marriages are healthy because for the same reasons. They do these things. They have these characteristics. And what we need to understand, a healthy marriage is not a marriage that does not have issues. A healthy marriage is not a marriage that doesn't have ups and downs. A healthy marriage, so it does. All marriages go through ups and downs. All marriages go through, because you have two people coming together, and us just simply learning how to be partners has its own challenges. All right. When we talk about healthy, we are actually looking at a marriage that has certain characteristics. Yeah.
Petreece, what are those characteristics of a healthy marriage?
So, number one is commitment. And as we spoke to that, you cannot have a healthy marriage without the two people being committed to this for the long haul. Right? Fidelity is another very important characteristic. So that whole thing of spouse being faithful to each other and honoring their commitment. Acceptance of one another. And that's a big deal. Because a lot of times in marriage, you have the whole my way is the way, or my way is the only way, and we're not able to accept each other and work together. Trust is critical. Another critical characteristic of a healthy marriage. And trust is not just about things like infidelity. Trust could be, for example, I'm not going to abandon you if we have a conflict. Trust could be we made a decision together and then I go off and I do something on my own that we didn't agree on, right? But a lot of things could cause trust issues in a marriage. Yeah? Then there's the whole thing of the intimacy, the love and affection. So a healthy marriage, people show love and affection for each other in ways that they understand and that they appreciate is very, very critical. They have shared activities, things that they do together, like you see in Mel and her husband doing this together, right? You have shared activities, you have friendship. And actually studies would show when people talk about being married for 60 and 70 years and they still in love, they always talk about the fact that they are best friends, right? You have communication, so where people are really honest with each other. You know, they say what is on their mind rather than holding it in, and they really listen to each other, and they don't think. So I don't think that Huey can read my mind,
Right.
even today, and he knows I can't read his mind, right? And there's also conflict resolution. So we don't run away from conflict. We actually understand that conflict helps to make us better. Every time we work through conflict, we learn things about ourselves, we learn things about the marriage, and we learn things that could help to make us better. And in that conflict, we also have that skill of empathy, right? Which is very critical. There is intentionality. And intentionality is that we see issues in our marriage and we are very intentional about working it out. So most couples that do well, they're very intentional. You know, our sex life, not too hot, you know, what we're going to do about it. You know, we have an issue here with money and how finance is going. What can we do to make it better? We have an issue here with how we deal with conflict. It's not the best, you know. You keep flying off the handle, I keep withdrawing and giving silent treatment. That's not good. What are we going to do about it? So there's an intentionality. There's also an intentionality with respect to what is the purpose and the mission of our marriage? You know, how are we impacting others with our marriage? And then there's the 10th one is a growth mindset, which is, I honestly believe that we can grow. I don't believe that my husband cannot change. I don't believe that I cannot change, and I don't believe that my marriage cannot change, which really is a fixed mindset. A fixed mindset says the marriage either good or bad, right? But a growth mindset says, okay, even if there are issues in the marriage, we could grow,
Right.
we could change, we could become better. Yeah, so those are the 10 characteristics of healthy marriages.
Do you think that any one of these 10 are more common in some marriages, or it's easier to achieve than others?
That's interesting. Wow. Possibly the commitment, where, for example, I've seen people who they come from homes where there was divorce and it pained them deeply, or they come from homes where their family, they've always seen mother and father together, and because of that, no matter what, they stay together. They're sleeping in different beds, you know, but they don't solve conflict, you know, but they're together. So a lot of times you see marriages where, so we're not doing anything to fix it, and we're not getting a divorce, but what we have is that characteristic of commitment. No matter what.
It's like, we're not going to get divorced.
Yeah.
We're sticking this out.
Yeah. I mean, that will give you space possibly to work on the issues, you know, if necessary. I think one of the challenges with many of us is that we don't give our marriages a chance for it to work out. Having said that, however, it's not just him and Petreece. The last one that Petreece mentioned, the growth mindset, I think is very critical, because you have those scenarios where some men, especially a lot of men, will say, you know, divorce is not an option for me, and again, divorce. Now, that might sound nice and noble, especially, you know, for those of us who come from a Christian background. But understand what your wife is hearing in a marriage like that. If you have a fixed mindset, she's hearing, you know, life imprisonment without parole. So, you know, it's not just enough to say, you know, divorce is not an option, right? What we should be saying is that, you know, I am committed to growth. So while divorce is not an option, doing nothing is also not an option.
Yeah. Wow.
Wow.
So that is important, and that is why you need to have that. And the last thing I would say on that, in terms of trust, that is critical as well. And it's very interesting. We would working some couples this week. We don't realize how our little interactions with one another on a daily basis could actually add trust or erode trust in the relationship. There's a concept that we developed called trust termites. That basically, that's like termites in a house. When there are two occasions you see termites: when they now start to do work, right, and when they almost finish, right. And the thing about termites is that you see one or two is not a problem, okay, but they're doing their work, right. And it's very catastrophic, and it's just like with trust. There are a number of actions like termites that we take that actually diminish trust in a relationship, and it sends a message to a spouse, or it introduces doubt. Does this person really love me? Does this person really care for me? And it's so many times we make the mistake and think, God, it's the very catastrophic thing like infidelity. But many times it's simple things like how you address your spouse in front of your children. You can call them your stupid, your dotage, question their intelligence, not defending them, to relatives, or taking the sides of others without even listening to your spouse, right? Planning finances, or you agree on a particular course of action, and then you go and do your own thing afterwards. All these things drip, and eventually you find yourself drifting further and further apart from one another. So those, it's those little things I think that people don't realize that actually, create the platform for much more catastrophic damage to be done to your marriage.
And as you guys mentioned, this stuff there, I'm just thinking, and based on what you said earlier on, you all had 2 years, I think. That's what you said, Petreece, premarital.
Yeah. For 4 years and 2 years premarital counseling. It's not like every day.
We were 2 years together, courting, and 2 years after campus, and then we got married. Right.
So I'm just thinking it's very important to as you lay out the healthy marriage, because obviously people will have stuff that they have to work on, especially if you've never been married before. There are things that you may not even realize you have issues
and if
with.
you have been married before also.
Yeah.
Okay. Because first marriages, 50% divorce. Second marriages, 68 to 70% divorce. Third marriages, 89, 90% divorce.
Wow.
So, yeah.
And there's a blind spot there as well, because a number of people believe, okay, well, I've done it before, so it's easy sailing. No. We gotta remember that we're not interchangeable parts, so we definitely need to understand one another. But in addition to that, remember the divorce, whatever, it's not about assigning blame, but obviously there was a failure in the relationship. And we have to examine, okay, what are those issues? And very importantly, even for first-time marriage, a lot of times you don't recognize family of origin issues, right? So you might have problems in your marriage, but many times you don't take it personal because it doesn't have anything to do with you. How, for example, you as a spouse, you dealt with your parents. What were the expectations that you had from your significant others as to how men operate, or even how women operate? How are you supposed to treat your spouse? How do you deal with financial issues? A lot of our understanding of how relationships are to operate, whether good or bad, it's imprinted upon us through our interactions in that family of origin.
How did you create your own culture in your marriage? Because you both came from individual families of origin. How did you draw the line and say, okay, we will do this and not that?
Yeah, that's a nice question. You see the thing come to play here?
No.
What? Sorry, okay, Petreece mentioned that phrase, that characteristic, intentionality. By God's grace, we were youth leaders when we were courting in our church community. We observed how young people reacted to individuals, especially other young people who get into a relationship. And we saw, for example, in some cases, how those persons were discouraged because it almost as if as soon as they get into a relationship, they isolated themselves from others. And we also heard, as soon as we mentioned that we were courting, we were looking to get married, we got negative feedback, and not about us per se, but about marriage. One of the things that we would have done, which was very important, is that we prayed together, but we also asked the Lord, help us to be a couple that could be a blessing to others, right? That we will operate. We are not victims to what outside people think what marriage should be. We believe that marriage was created by you, Lord, and by your grace, our marriage can be a blessing to others. And we would have, again, through counseling, but also our own, we have similar core values, which is very important. We understood the importance that, look, Petreece is not, she's not my baby sister. I'm not here to bring her up to a level, we are partners. We see ourselves as partners. Sadly, a lot of people misinterpret Genesis 1 in terms of, and Genesis 2 in terms of structure, right? Because God created Adam and Eve, not one to be subordinate to the other. That whole mindset is a result of the fall. It is not God's intention for marriage, all right? So a lot of these things we would have taken the marriage. We understood that, for example, how we speak to one another. If we may have disagreements, but we are not going to leave each other hanging. We're not going to use destructive words and tones of voice. So we came into marriage with a mindset that our marriage must be a model. And if it is to be a model, then people will be observing. So even when we got married and we were still youth leaders, right? Our young people, we deliberately open our homes for them to see how we operate, for them to observe us. They made pizza, they watched Godzilla, oh, that man dead, all those kind of things, and they saw us operating like that. Interesting enough, when we were doing some work in Laventille many years ago, we used to do annual career development camp in Laventille. And we used multimedia, we had a projector and whatnot, and it was in between, sessions, and Petreece was putting the multimedia projector away and it slipped. And she said, oh gosh, we're sorry about that, because she I like the technology and whatnot. And I said, oh, that's all right, darling, that's okay, no problem. Let's put it in your bag. And we just engaging like that. And there was a young man who was there, and he said, boy, miss, if that was one of these fellas here, they done cost down the place and whatnot. Now, the thing about it is that was not deliberate. We were just interacting.
Yeah.
But observing, this young man was observing, and we thank God that a number of the young people that we have mentored, I think most of them, if not all, they are happily married. In terms of so that was always the mindset: be a model, be a blessing. And interesting enough, as we do that, we find ourselves being blessed as well. And obviously, our first priority is to our daughter in terms of mentoring and modeling for her. Right, what a good relationship is about. That's why we wrote the book in the first place. We wrote it for her. It's dedicated to her, and so yeah.
Nice.
So I think what was important for us is that even before we were married, we kind of developed a marriage mission. That was the word that came to us, so that we decided that this is what we want people to say about our marriage. This is what we want to be said about our marriage, and this is how we want to impact people. So if this is what we want people to say about our marriage, how do we need to behave by God's grace? If we want to impact people, how do we need to behave by God's grace? So it was very intentional, how we operated, and I say by God's grace because it's dying to self.
Yes.
And dying to self ain't nice. So
Not a strong woman.
It really, when you die, you really live.
Yeah, and we have been blessed. So it's not like we are perfect people, as Petreece mentioned, broken people. Two broken people tapping in viciously into the grace of God. So I was raised by my grandparents, but my parents, when I was very young, my parents migrated to the States. Didn't know my father until I was in sixth form, sixth form thereabouts. So I had issues, I had fears, I mean, real struggles. But the thing about it is that once you have an awareness of your brokenness, then you can access the grace of God. So because I understood my brokenness and the mess that I was in, right, and how God was merciful to me, it was easier for me now to extend that to Petreece and vice versa. So that is something that I think people need to understand. It doesn't say you don't have to come from a perfect family. It's how you deal with the issues, right? So this is not about okay, if you came from a family where there's divorce or single parent home you're going through, right? I am the poster child, for a messed up, background, right? But the grace of God is also upon me, just like with Paul, as Paul could say, he chose me, as Paul said, I was the chief of sinners, right? But this happened so that you may know for the grace of God, that if he could save me, he could save anybody. So that is what God would have done with us. It was this brokenness that led to an awareness, but also a dependence on God. So the secret source in our marriage is Jesus. That's the secret source, and a willingness to access his grace and to give it to one another, so.
And I think one of the things too that would have really helped us is that even though we would have had 2 years of premarital counseling, we realized that we came into this marriage still with issues. In terms of us as individuals still having issues, it wasn't all dealt with, and probably still not. But we were able to identify what our issues are, and we made it our issues. So it no longer became Huey's issues or Petreece's issues. It became ours, and us being willing to help each other to grow and to heal in the areas that we needed to grow and to heal. So I was very much aware of his rejection issues, which could have manifested in different ways, in anger and possibly, like a withdrawal and depression, and my self-esteem issues, which could have manifested in, stop talking to this one, don't do that, all kind of madness potting, right? But we realized where it was coming from, and that we had to help each other. It wasn't like, Petreece, why are you getting on so stupid? Or Huey, you really think those people don't care about you? No, you're understanding where it is coming from, and you're addressing it as that, and it became ours. And I think a lot of times we go into marriage somehow thinking, I don't know, we good. We don't realize we come from the junk heap. We defective.
Yeah.
You understand?
It's a picture mental exercise that we do with couples in our workshops. That if you were going to a junkyard, right? They had a sale, okay, and they said $5 anything, no matter what it is, right? And you go in and you see a big 70-inch flat screen TV, right, in the middle of the junkyard, and you shocked because nobody take the TV, and you sneak to the fellow in and say, this is for $5. You say, $5, take it, and see the sign out. You take it home, you bring all your friends to watch the World Cup game. Right, you're excited, you have the pilau, you have the popcorn, everything. And then you press power. 5 seconds, nothing happened, thing black. As soon as when it eventually come on, the whole picture not color, they swarm green. Right? You press in volume, it go in, the volume to increase, it going down, and to go up it, and whatnot. So, now the question we ask people is, would you be angry? Right? And then you say, well, I'll be embarrassed. Why would be embarrassed? Because at the end of the day, I buy it in a junkyard. Now, go in Price Smart now and buy that same television, okay, and take it home. Would you have a similar reaction? Would you be as forgiving? And most of us know, because I pay good money for my TV, and I take it to the price, but and don't tell me you're going to repair it. I want a brand new. So what we get people to appreciate is that many of us, right, we go into our marriage. See, on our wedding day, you go in through the door, and we forget to see that sign that says, all sales final, right? All sales final, right? No refunds. Okay, because we thinking that we actually getting a Price Smart bride or a Price Smart husband, and the reality about it, all of us broken. So this thinking, and so the same kind of understanding you would have, because that your delivery brought something that was broken, and therefore there's a patience. That is what we need to have in marriage. But many of us, unfortunately, we have a Price Smart mentality, right? Or you could have that fault. No. I want exchange. Right? And it's something that we, so our brokenness mindset really speaks to the humility that we need to have. It is not that we remain broken. It's just understanding that this is where we come from, and by God's grace, we can get better together. So that's what's so important for a healthy marriage. So not the absence of issues. You will have issues, but it's how you deal with the issues. That's determines the health of the marriage. How do we deal with our problems together?
Well, would you recommend, because I know you said that you did 2 years of counseling before you all actually got married. Would you recommend, because you're saying that everybody is broken, would you recommend that each spouse or party get separate counseling before as well?
I think some people, I mean, if you're going to do premarital counseling, and it only 2 years, in reality, we were very busy, so it extended to a certain amount of time.
Okay.
And still we didn't get our last session on sex, so the honeymoon was not a joke. But we have a right, yeah, it was right, it was hilarious. But the thing about it, when you go for premarital counseling, a counselor should also know if the person needs individual counseling, because of course there are certain issues where you would need to meet with the person individually. So even with me, when we did premarital counseling, we did it with our then pastors, which I think they did a very thorough job. And there were times I met with the pastor and his wife, or the pastor alone, or his wife alone, to do work with respect to me, right? And I'm sure we probably would have had other interventions like that too. But it is very critical that we understand we need this type of help before we get married.
Yeah. Well, let me add to that. It's very important. If you're going for counseling, you want to ensure that you get some sort of family of origin exercise, something being addressed on those issues. Because many times, you know, a lot of counseling, well, many times people go into counsel that mindset that is counseling for the wedding as opposed to their marriage. And also you have to give yourself time. So you can't go into premarital counseling, right? After your dress done chosen out, you know, Auntie Beulah coming down from Brooklyn, she took it done by already. Okay. Everything's set. You know, because it may have some deep issues there that might actually require you to maybe spend some time to deal with it before you get married, or not get married at all. So it's very important that, you know, what is the mindset going into premarital counseling. So premarital counseling is only as effective as the issues that are being addressed, and also our readiness to deal with those issues in it. So definitely you want in a premarital counseling, dealing with the issue of family of origin. Also, I want to say there are a lot of blind spots. And many times, especially for those, you know, for example, pastors get married, right? Ministers. And they have terrible marriages. Now, many times what is happening is that when they get counseling, so someone, they know their pastor, their minister, you all know this stuff already, man. You all need to address that. That's the blind. So it's you need to be insistent on some of the issues that you need to address. But definitely, you can't go wrong if you deal with family origin, spending time on that. So how was your life like? What was your relationship with your father, with your mother? Tell me about their relationship. Tell me about, you know, what trauma you dealt with, all previous relationships. Getting a lot of questions about your past is so critical.
And relationships with your parents and those kinds of things. Because the truth about it, Huey would have been a youth leader at his church. He was eventually the IVCF president on campus. So you're talking about a responsible person. I would have been a youth leader at the church I used to go to from the age of 17. Now I got saved at 14, but by 17 I became a youth leader, and then eventually went to his church probably about a year before we got married. And so people could have said to us, and then, I mean, I was doing counseling. I was already a counselor. So people could have said to us, our pastors could have said, oh, them don't need that. And I thank God that they didn't say that, right? I really thank God for that. And I'm not going to say that to anybody, because you all know I'm a counselor and I deal with from all kinds of people. And you realize it's not because people don't come in and say, you see me, I go in and make my wife life a living hell, or I go in and make my husband wife a living hell. They truly don't know. And the thing with marriage is, once we start on a bad footing in terms of unhealthy interaction, it spirals downward. So we actually start to develop very unhealthy habits of interaction, which of course causes a lot of resentment. So by the time you reach to me now, I have to work through walls of resentment, of stubbornness, of people not believing their wife could change. And you know, like even sometimes when you getting them to apologize, or I've heard that before, she always apologizing. Or I've heard that before, he always say he's going to do something. And so, you know, a lot of cynicism, a lot of sarcasm, a lot of resentment, that then it becomes very difficult, simply because not just two bad people, you know, two people who had truly loved each other, but really didn't have some of the tools to have a healthy marriage and some of the knowledge to have a healthy marriage.
You know, and that's quickly just to say that means, unfortunately, many of us would have gotten married without those tools, but there is still hope.
Yes.
And so that is where the growth mindset, the willingness to, we can learn, you know. So there are couples, for example, who, I mean, they did everything, you know, to ensure that the marriage would fail. But, you know, thankfully they are married now, and they also married and help other couples as well. So, you know, there's always hope. What is critical, you have a growth mindset. You're willing to forgive, and you're willing to repent to facilitate reconciliation.
So, Petreece and Huey, as we close, and I'm serious about it, we need a week, so tell me when you have a free week. I know it's like never, but we definitely love to just, you know, talk so much more on this, because I think marriage is like one of those topics that you can get good information or you could get bad information. So it's so necessary for you to have a platform or people who have been through and who are also counseling and really want to encourage healthy marriages as well. So is there anything that you want to give to us in closing that you really want us to take away or go with or to remember as we approach marriage, or maybe we're married already, or maybe somebody out there may be in a situation where they're like, this is it. I've had enough. I don't want any counseling. I don't want to hear anything from any pastor. I don't want to hear my friend. I done. Let's address those people.
Yeah.
I think one of the things is that the ingredients, so even those 10 characteristics that we spoke about for a healthy marriage, they can actually be learned. It is something that we can learn, and we can learn it at any stage once we are willing. Right? I think that's a very, very important thing to know. And I've seen marriages very, very unhealthy, but just two people willing to put in some work, willing to make some sacrifices, the both persons, and I mean, it just transforms the whole thing. And not with a lot of things, you know, some simple things like just understanding each other's love languages and being willing to do that, like deciding to handle conflict in a healthy way. We taking our time out, you know, and we doing what is necessary there, and it just turned the whole thing around.
God is the healer of broken hearts, and what you just mentioned there really speaks to a lot of hurt that people have experienced. So our prayer really is that God already touch hearts and give people the grace to hope again, but also the grace to work on it. You know, so that's important. You know, we really need the Lord, and we could just extend that grace to those who are in such a painful experience, because it is difficult. You didn't go into marriage, especially said there, wanting to have pain and disappointment. So our prayer is that, you know, whoever is listening to this, that, you know, the Lord will touch you and your spouse. You can't do it by yourself. Both of you will need to work together. Pray that God will give both of you all the grace and the desire to work on it, to put in some of these things that we discussed into practice.
I think I'm not sure much more time, but another thing is to understand that we are both broken. And in understanding that sometimes I may look at my issue. So let's say Huey has an anger issue and I have a gossiping issue, right? So I might be like, but why you can't control yourself? You know, you always have to get on like that, right? But I am not controlling my mouth in a different way, and I'm trying it, and I'm seeing how difficult it is. So the same way that I can see how difficult it is for me to deal with this gossiping problem, I need to know it is also difficult for him to deal with the anger problem. And just as I want him to have patience with me, to believe in me, to support me, then I need to be willing to do that for him also, right? So I think another thing is understanding, can we sit down and talk about what we brought into this marriage that has helped to bring it to this place? Not pointing fingers at anybody, but, you know, just looking at what we came in with and how we can help each other.
Now, we're talking about help. I know you guys have a webinar that's taken place. We would have, I think it started on the 25th of September. So that particular, the opening, what you call it, series or the opening
session
would have gone. If you can talk a bit about that and if folks can still be a part of the webinar.
Well, it would have started on September the 25th, right? And, you know, it's 6 sessions every 3 weeks, right? And it's really geared towards helping couples go through issues like family origin. In fact, if the first session would have been on family of origin, we also dealing with empathy, conflict, and time out. We're dealing with developing a marriage mission for your life. You're looking at spiritual warfare in marriage because marriage has spiritual warfare. The enemy does not like marriage, and we want to address that. We also be looking at developing a culture of love as well in a marriage. So these are the sessions that we'll be having, and you know, if you would like to get more information, you could check our website, coffeeconsulting.com. You know, for that, there's a particular link that, you know, we will give to you all. You all could see as well. It's link.coffeeconsulting.com/marriage culture, and you could actually register online for it if you're interested in being part of it.
Right. So, Petreece, Huey, thank you so much for being a part of this marriage series. And the second of the two-part marriage series. I think it was a wonderful wrap up. The information. I know the ladies have a lot to say.
Yes. I really enjoyed it, and that part of family of origin is really critical because it really forms the expectations that you come into your marriage with. So I thank you very much for the emphasis you placed on that as well. Thank you.
Yes, thanks so much. And just putting it out there from the beginning that is not two halves coming together, but is 1 times 1 equals 1. That's a good thing to take note of for our singles who looking on. You're not coming into the marriage broken or looking for your better half. You are the whole looking for a next whole person to make up one grand whole.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much again, and all the best. All the best with you.
All the best to you all. A wonderful program. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Hey guys, it's the evening show. Keep it locked.
Clean space is the highest priority during this time. We provide state-of-the-art professional disinfecting services. We offer a choice of services to fit your needs. Disinfecting services, sanitizing services, deep cleaning, electrostatic disinfection services, and much more. Save your time, save your money, save yourself. Visit our website or call us for your next cleaning service today.
Hey guys, whew. I want to say welcome back, but what a session.
What a session. Y'all, I hope you all took notes. I hope you go back, rewind after you would have looked at this. I hope you will go back and get more notes, because I'm sure when you look at it the second time, you'll take things that you missed. And I hope that you put it into practice. Most importantly, you know, grab hubby, grab wifey, let's sit down and get it so that we could get ourselves some very healthy marriages, especially if we have kids, so that we could model for them what our healthy marriage is supposed to look like. And even for the singles looking on, they must be able to say, yeah, I want to be like them when I find a mister, and I want to be like that when I find a chick. So guys, until next time, ladies, it was a fantastic show.
Yes.
It's the end of our marriage series, and it was full. So guys, until next time, I hope you all enjoy it. Please tell a friend, subscribe, log on to the website, look on. Until next time, we're saying bye, guys.